welcome to Viewpoint, your program of politicians, personalities, and perspectives. We sure have personalities here this morning.
Yes, but no politics.
Amen for that. God, amen for that. The first order of business, as regular listeners, both of you out there know, we always try to open up during these last few weeks, a conversation with our traveling friend, Mr. Rashid Huda. Mr. Rashid Huda is has been walking and will continue to walk for quite a while from Chicago to Los Angeles. So good morning, Mr. Huda. How are you this morning?
I'm blessed as always, sir. Thank you for asking.
Well, we're glad. How was your night? A little cooler now? You probably put on a little extra.
Yes. It has been cooled off considerably, but for the last week or so I've been indoors, so don't feel as much.
Oh, you're fudge factor there. You're sleeping indoors. That's good for you. That's a lot better than throwing that bag out on a park table somewhere. What is your position now?
Laying on the bed.
Well, you ask a stupid question, you'll get a smart answer. Well, good for you. And where is this bed now laying?
I am staying with the family. My cousin owns a hotel in Albuquerque, and I've been with him for almost a week now. I arrived here last Wednesday evening, and we had a good family dinner a day early of Thanksgiving dinner Wednesday night. And I have 5 cousins here, and everybody just wanted to, and they have a couple of children, and then everybody wanted to have their time with me, and I hadn't met them in ages. A couple of cousins I hadn't seen in 45 years.
Oh, my.
So, been here all that time.
Well, did you tell them how important they are? You walked all the way from Chicago just to get to see them?
Well, yeah, that's, they've been just bragging about me to the entire community here. We have about a couple of hundred people from our community in Albuquerque, and they've been just introducing me and bragging about me, and so I've had a exceptional week.
Well, that isn't anything that you had planned as you planned this itinerary, is it? You knew you had these folks there in your community, but did you realize that you'd be able to get to spend a little extra time with them?
Well, I had no plans for it. One of my cousins has been following my journey, and he made sure that when I got here, he is visiting his brother, and he sent me a message wanting to know when I was coming here, so he wanted to make sure that he gets to meet me, because we hadn't seen each other in 45 years.
Oh, my. Yeah.
And so that's how it is, and he's been telling everybody else and all the other brothers, and there are 5 brothers live here, and actually 4 live here in Albuquerque, and he's visiting from Toronto. Mm-hmm. So that's what's been happening. And then the day after I arrived here, he took off for 4 days to go to Vegas with one of his other brothers, and so I was here with the oldest brother who owns the hotel, and he had some guests from our community, and they had some questions, and before I know, I was planning on leaving yesterday, but they talked me out of it because the weather got a little bad, so I'm staying 2 more days. Today is my last day here. I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Well, they took the sheets off the bed?
Pardon me?
Did they take the sheets off the bed, and that was your signal to get going?
Yeah, basically, yes. Tonight we have a special services at our religion center for the new moon. So afterwards, we'll have dinner, and tomorrow I'll be gone before they wake up.
Now, what will be your next scheduled stop, sir?
My next scheduled stop is about 16 miles from here, a place called Route 66 Casino.
Now remember, remember that casino is designed to get your money, so just have a look there. You don't have to. You have to participate at every table.
No, I do not intend to participate. I was actually, we were there last night. We had dinner over there. They had a special on buffet. 2 people can eat for a price of 1. So 4 of us just went over there and pigged out. And so
you've been, you've really been in a manner of speaking, you've been off the road this last week. You've been kind of having a stand down, enjoying family and friends. So now you're going to get going and be out on the road in a serious matter. How long do you think that's going to take for you to? Do you have an estimated time on like early February?
Somewhere in there, yeah. Late January, early February. Now this week, I don't know how this week would impact, but I've noticed that the maps that I had been using is taking me quite a bit off Route 66 because it's a bike mic map, and so some of the trails are not strictly following Route 66 and going around longer way. So I realized that I would be walking less than what the maps are telling me. So that's a good thing.
Are the tires holding up well on your buggy?
So far, so good, yes. I had some slime put in it, and went ahead and picked up an extra tires just in case. That stuff called slime is supposedly very good, and it prevents it from having punctures, and if it does, it fills it automatically. So
good. Well, all right, we're going to let you go, Rashid. We have some guests here this morning. Talk about a subject matter of great interest to you. That would be touring homes. So I don't think you're going to have much of an interest in that conversation. But we wish you well.
At the moment.
I'll be emailing you in the meantime, and we'll look forward to talking with you next Wednesday.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Have yourself a good day, my friend. Bye-bye.
You too.
Right.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Mr. Rashid Huda, the gentleman whom I saw in the IGA grocery store so many weeks ago, walking all the way from Chicago to Los Angeles on what he can find of Route 66. Girls, we always try to start viewpoint with a kudo or two. Judith Kay.
Yes?
And you ladies, too, will remember that the Gazzardo family, for many years, have been taking meals out on Thanksgiving Day. A huge, big kudo to them, their family, all their employees, and concomitantly of all the folks who drove up and lined up forever and put the meals in their cars and took off and delivered them. Mm-hmm. So everybody was connected with that Thanksgiving. That's going on forever now. And huge thanks to the Gazzardo family.
That's a wonderful tradition they've begun.
Yes, and they just don't have to. They don't have to beg for volunteers to deliver these meals. It's really a great sight to see these cars all lined up down that alley. It doesn't take them very long, and away they go, and pretty soon they're back for another load. And in such matters as food, the Open Arms Christian Fellowship Group invited Gene and I to their public dinner. They served I don't know, over 500, and that's a remarkable thing. Mm-hmm. Again, volunteers lined up to the kazoo there, and I said to Gene after we got up to the table to go down the line, I said, "How many people welcomed you and said glad to see you?" At least half a dozen or more. But the time we got from the front door to the so it's a ministry that they've started, and it's very. As we take our hats off to them. So
we've got a lot of people in this community who do a lot of good things for others, and we are truly blessed. I don't know if we'd have this much luck in the big city.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
We maybe better stay here in the flatlands. Huh?
Well,
we've
have
got
volunteers,
3 ladies here,
volunteers of another sort right here, so let's introduce them. Get on with the subject matter.
They've got a busy weekend coming up. With us are 3 members of the Lincoln Women's Club. Cindy Ossiker, Sue Beaver,
Retired
and Ruth
teacher.
Sloot. All three retired teachers. Do you have to be a teacher to join Women's
Oh,
Club?
absolutely not.
You don't. You
No.
can just come in as a plain person.
Yes.
Definitely. We take
Okay.
anybody.
And you come in only if you want to do some work too. Yeah, it's not just
That's a
all
qualifier.
tea and crumpets, is it?
No, we are a volunteer organization that does service work in the community, and we also do projects to support international efforts too.
Yes.
I don't
yeah.
think I ever knew that, Ruth. Now, I've known about the Lincoln Women's Club since Hector was a pup, but I didn't know you had international philanthropy too.
Yes, we do. Right now, one of the club projects we do is Operation Smile, which is a project that does cleft palate surgeries for children around the world. And we make hospital gowns they use during the surgeries, and we make blankets that they wrap the children in after the surgeries. And we send them to the Operation Smile headquarters in Virginia, and then they go out around the world. And this is a project that our international organization supports, and so does the Lincoln Women's Club.
And so
And you do
folks,
both blankets and the hospital gowns?
The hospital gowns
With the
also.
traditional two ties in the back?
No, I think it's just one. Well, they don't let me do that part of it.
there's a
Oh,
reason
is
for
that over your pay grade?
That's over my pay grade.
I see, that'll happen.
Well, no, seriously, that's an adjunct, or not an adjunct, but an activity of the Lincoln
That
Women's Club
matters.
that I knew that was, that does matter.
You know, people do volunteer work, but I think it has to matter, or you can't stay interested. And that particular project really matters. Now, what sorts of things are you involved in here in Lincoln, America?
In Lincoln, America?
I call it Abesville.
Okay, this past year, we donated a book about Lincoln to every school library in the county in the arts department. We do the glass recycling at the fairgrounds for, 6 months a year?
That's a big deal, by the way.
That is.
That is a big deal. Those of us who take advantage of that services, and an option for that is just go north on North Logan to the glass plant out there, and they made it very easy for us to have a big steel container, and that's just a wonderful service to the community.
From November to March, you can take your glass there, and the rest of the time, bring it to the fairgrounds to us.
Right.
Last year, we gave 2 $500 scholarships to students in Logan County.
Wonderful.
And then we had 2 other students in Logan County receive state scholarships, and they got $1,000 apiece. So we brought some money back in from the rest of the state to the county.
Great.
We sponsor a blood bank,
Yes.
and we also make stockings for deployed servicemen, and then help provide materials to stuff them with, and they go around the world.
And you stuff them with what, Ruth?
They do toiletries, socks, puzzle books, cards, toothbrushes. Everyone gets a handwritten card. What?
Chewing gum. those
Chewing
kind of
gum,
things, yeah.
all sorts of things.
Now, you see, Judith, they just don't sit around and have tea and crumpets. They're busy.
See? Well,
And you need a good PR person, because I don't think the community realizes the depth of the impressions that you can leave in our community and outside our community. Most of us would tend to think, well, it's just a ladies' organization, and they meet and sit around and talk about whatever they talk about and have tea and let's go home. So that's not the case. You're very, very busy, philanthropic oriented.
Well, we never know about a service organization unless we're a member. You can't possibly. And I'm sure that each and every one of them have their projects that serve others. And you've got some great ones. And in order to bankroll the things, you're having a biggie this weekend. You're having a home tour. I went last year, and it was really a neat thing to do. Really neat.
Last year was, I think the Christian Church did the one last year.
Uh-huh.
We did one 2 years ago.
Right.
And then this.
that's the way it works. I
It's
did not
like
know
every other
that.
year.
So are you going to alternate for a while? That's great.
I think that's our plans at this point, yeah.
Great, great. Tell us, who homes will be on the tour and what the special points of interest are in each of them, if you would, please.
All right. It's this Sunday, December the 4th, from 1 to 5. We have 2 of them in the historical district, and that's Seth Goodman. And so if you went last year, you're thinking, well, I've seen Seth's house, but Seth has since bought a new house, and so he's opening his new house to us. It was built in 1862, and again, it has his hot air bedroom for his nephews, twin nephews. He's also used a lot of, he did a lot of work in this house, and he used his main thing that he liked to focus on was that he'd used a lot of Lincoln people to do that.
Yeah, for the rehabbing.
Yes.
I'm so glad to hear that, because sometimes people will mount some great big project and nothing will have it, but the person has to come from Decatur or Springfield.
Right. So it's
You gonna be all right? Am I gonna have to put you
I
down?
don't think so. I think you might. I think I'll just...
You got 911 ready, Jim?
I think I'll ask you to excuse me, because I think...
Okay. Yes, all right. Yeah. Well, but do come back.
okay.
I'll be hung out here to dry if she doesn't come back. No, go ahead, Cindy.
Okay, well, our second house in the Historical Society is Ron and Cindy Keller's.
Yes.
And it was built in 1937. And from what I understand, they have a lot of the original built-ins. I think one of them they were talking about for the milk, so that the milkman could come and put the milk in, and then they could get it from inside.
That house was built by Arthur A. Gimbel.
Yes, it was. So those are the 2 that we have in the downtown area. And then we go kind of out on the west side of town, and Janet Dom's house is on Westminster, right off 5th Street. It's at one of the subdivisions there. She has over 100 nativity scenes that she has out, and that's a thing that she's really showing off and wanting people to come and see.
Well, the tour, that alone would be worth the price of the tour, because that's a very, very unusual display that she's going to have up there.
Very much so.
She's done over the years. She's acquired these, and some right here locally, and others, God knows where, from perhaps from around the world.
Yeah, and family could be pushed, brought down from family members and stuff too. I'm not real sure about the history of all of them. Hopefully, as you go through the tour, the hostesses will point some out and tell you the history of.
Well, I hope you don't have any political nuts on the tour. So they say, "Oh, she can't do that."
Our other one out on the west side of town is Leanne and Billy Connor, and it's on Forest Hills, out behind the Elks. She has many themed Christmas trees. I hear that if you really want to get into Christmas, this is a good house to go see, because it's got lots of Christmas decorations and stuff up.
I watched that house being built.
Did you?
Yes, because we lived right next door. That was Bevan Lou Johnson's house.
Yes, it was Bevan Lou Johnson's, right. Then we have out at Lincoln Lakes, I'm going to take you out the other direction, on South Lake Road, Diane and John McShane, and they're out on what they call Parker's Point. They also have a guest cottage that they're going to have open, so that you can go not only through their house, but then through the guest cottage too. And it's beautiful. There's water on 3 sides of the house, so it's very, very pretty out there. So those are the 5 houses that we are offering up. We're asking people to carpool. A couple of the houses, parking is kind of difficult, so it's more fun to go with somebody, a group of people anyway.
Yeah.
So we're asking, carpool. At the first house you go to, you will be given a little sheet to kind of give you a suggested route, so that we don't have everybody like going to the Lincoln Lakes at one time, or out by the Elks at one time, so to kind of spread people out and about a little bit.
A little history on that last house at Lincoln Lakes, that was called Roosevelt Point.
Oh, was it?
Yes, Lynn R. Parker put that in about there. This was in the days of the Depression, and about the time when we moved a bunch of cottages from Chautauqua grounds out there to the Lincoln Lakes. And where we live is on Cottonwood Lane, which is a First Road up there.
Yes.
And Mr. Parker was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat when it was honorable to be a party member. It didn't make any difference with the Republic. It was still honorable to be a member. Now, God. Anyway, he was a great community guy, Logan County Title. And this is the days when they had abstracts of properties. And Glenn R. Parker had more up between his left and his right ear about properties all around Logan County because he drew their abstracts. And it was a work of art to see what he would do and bring the pages. To go through these old abstracts and you just see, besides a lot of history, a lot of artwork. That's what he'd learned in his craft, and it was very, very interesting. Good. And now, of course, the technology is that they don't even have abstracts per se anymore. No, but that was we call that Roosevelt Point. Now there's a little bit that nobody needed to know at all.
No, but we learned something.
Yes, we did. Definitely.
There's a lot of history. Seriously. Are you going to be all right?
That's all right. That's all right.
Well, the major domo, the person who really runs the show, is now back in there, ready to go.
I was listening to you out there. How fascinating these homes are going to be. And Bill, how lucky you're here because you know whose house it used to be. Yeah. No, really, I think that's neat.
Were you there when they were built?
Yes.
He built them.
All of them. Well, Roosevelt
but I
Point.
think that's so fun to know where
and
where
the Gimbel
things
House
came,
where
their
Rockefeller
genesis.
lives. I remember when that being built. There was a huge mansion on that corner. I mean, a big mansion. And
that's the Keller House, right?
Yes, at Ron Keller's house. And they had a porte cochere. I'll spell that for you when I get off the air.
Yeah. You probably have to look it up in your fucking Wagnos.
And in those days, my God, they let you go out and play without asking where you were. And we'd climb trees. They had a big, huge tree of some sort over there. And so, yeah, go ahead. Ruth, pick up the tour now.
Well, where do we start if you don't have tickets?
Well, the Lincoln Women's Club building is going to be open. That's where, if you want tickets, if you haven't got your ticket by now, which, gosh, I hope you have, but if you haven't gotten it by now, on Sunday, they can only be purchased at the Lincoln Women's Club building. Used to, you could purchase them at the homes.
Various places.
It's kind of makes it very conglomerated when people come in and you're trying to sell tickets and try to get people in and stuff. So we decided to do something a little different this year. And we're having the Women's Club building open. The tickets will be sold there. We will also have a bake sale of homemade items there for you.
Good season for that.
Yes, definitely. We will be giving away free coffee, hot chocolate, tea, and while you're enjoying your coffee and buying some baked goods, we have some entertainment that's going to be performing for us throughout the day. And we have, we're starting at 12:45 on our entertainment. We have a Kina Peak. She's a guitarist, and she will be playing her guitar and singing some Christmas songs for us till about 1:15. At 1:30, we have 40 students from Chester East Lincoln School who will be coming to sing us some Christmas songs.
Oh, how fun.
At 2:15, we have the high school. I was told at one time it might be the Madrigal Singers. I'm not sure if it's going to be them or it's going just to be a group of students singing. At 3 o'clock, we have the Lutheran School. They have some students coming to sing for us. At 3:45, we have the First United Methodist Children's Chime Choir is going to be performing for us. And our last one from 4:30 to 5 is Daryl Wibben. He has a dulcimer, and he is bringing a couple of ladies that play the harp. So we have all kinds of music and entertainment going on at the Women's Club buildings for you to go in, sit down, get in the Christmas spirit. We also have a raffle going on just at the Women's Club building. You can't buy tickets anyplace else. And Ruth is in charge of that, if you want to talk about that a minute.
We have 3 items. We have a handmade piece of stained glass
that Ruth made.
That I made. And then we have a basket that has a lovely handmade cutting board that Steve Stover made and has some knives and some other things in it. And then we have the third basket. It's a Pamper Yourself. It's all sorts of items from a lotions and that type of thing. That would
Lotions and potions.
Lotions and potions be a perfect gift for, a daughter-in-law you don't know what to get, a friend. For $1, you could get a very nice gift. So we will be selling tickets that day, $1 a piece, 6 for $5.
We sell commercials in this studio, and we have to take a commercial break at this point in time.
Okay.
So, Mr. Rash, are you ready? I would get so entranced with what's going on here, I forgot my cue about the commercials. Go right ahead, Jim. Well, welcome back to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. Our guests this morning are Ruth Sloot, Cindy Ossiker, and the short and taciturn Sue Beaver. So, our subject matter this morning is house tours, a fundraiser for an organization that I'm finding just does a whale of a lot more things in the community than I was aware of. Excuse that dangling preposition there. But I would think that you need a good
Just
PR.
worry about the teachers. They're liable to cuff your wrists for you.
That's right. You use bad grammar in front of 3 teachers.
Yeah, that's a bad move, man.
So, what is the history of the Lincoln Women's Club, ladies? Sue? And lean forward a little bit, honey, so we can get that mic on you.
Yeah, that's a girl. Push it back.
The lot was purchased from Mrs. Maxwell, and a congregation of 20 Jewish members built the building in 1910, so it's 106 years old this year. And the stained glass windows that were in the building, in 1927, the Women's Club bought the building. Before this, they had begged, borrowed, and went to places, the Lincoln Public Library basement, the GAR building that was on the courthouse lawn.
GAR, that Grand Army Republic.
And a big back room on Avery and Comstock building. I think now the hospice group is up there. But anyway, they bought the building, and in April of 1927, a tornado destroyed the Christian church in Cornland. So the Cornland congregation came up, and they bought the stained glass windows, the pews, and the pulpit, and to restore their church in Cornland. So that's why we have the plain rounded windows with the plain glass. That was.
But you still have one with the stained glass.
Right, we have two in the women's restroom. There's a part of the stained glass window is still there, and the arched window above the front door is the original. That's another project.
We would find it strange that that the Women's Club building was a Jewish temple.
Yes.
And at that time, we had a fair number of Jewish folks in this community.
Right.
Most of them merchants.
Yes.
Hard-working folks, and they built that lovely building. And today, here we are in 2016, and that building is very viable thanks to the Women's Club keeping it alive and spending a lot of money in rehabbing that and keeping it so that it doesn't leak or the wind blow through the windows. So a guy like me, who's been around a day or two, I can remember that from high school days when they had a junior women's club. I have no idea whether one exists today or not, but they would have monthly dances there, and they would pack that place full of high school kids.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yes.
Yeah, they had a juniors for a long time, because I was a member of juniors in my misspent youth. Were you people all juniors too?
Yes.
Well, I hate to tell you, girls, you've outgrown that site. So that's the way it is.
My kids have outgrown that.
Now, with this, with the home tour, people worry about inclement weather. But you're prepared for that in the case of rain and so forth, because somebody's opening their house up, kind enough to do that, and that's a big job because they want to get it all spick and span, so they don't want to have that destroyed by people traipsing through. So tell us about how you're prepared for inclement weather, girls.
Well, we have those footies from the hospital. We have purchased those, and we're asking people when they come in to either take their shoes off and walk barefoot, or with sock-footed, or use these footies to put on top of their shoes. And then we're asking them before they leave that particular house then to take those off. I guess in the past we've had some people who wore them outside, so that's not really helping the house then. So we have that set up. We have someone at the front door or wherever people come in to give them the footies, and then we have somebody outside wherever they leave the house to collect those.
So you have hostesses at these various homes?
Yes, we do. Yes.
How many hostesses do you have at each site?
It depends on the house. I think the biggest amount we have is about 8 or 9.
Really?
Well, it might be more, even a few more than that. But then no more than 10, and then the smallest amount's probably only about 4 or 5.
And their duty then would be to point out the things that they don't want you to miss at each site.
Exactly. Some of those things are written in the ticket that you got. It was kind of like a booklet kind of a thing, and so some of those things are written up in the ticket. But then we have cards for the hostesses to point out a particular picture or point out a particular item that's in the house.
Owing to my rudeness, I missed some of this, I'm sorry to say, but how is the reception? Thank you. How is the reception when you ask someone if they would mind having their home on the home tour, or do people call you and say, I got the bedroom painted and I'm ready to put my house on the home tour?
It kind of goes both ways. I've actually been told of 2 houses that are wanting to be on the next one.
Really?
They're ready right now. Now, that may change in 2 years if they have situations that go on in their homes. But we ask a lot of people, and it has to be a husband and wife decision too. Sometimes, one of them wants to do it and the other one doesn't. And privacy. We have a couple of houses where we're not allowed to go up where their bedrooms and stuff are at, and I understand that.
Sure.
I mean, the privacy part of it, you can't open your whole life to the community.
Certainly wouldn't mind opening up. Anyway, seriously, when you think of home tours, the immediate thought is these are new homes. And I don't know why I would think that, but that just seems kind of a common thread. And that's not the case at all. And in any case, I think on all of these tours you had older, more established homes. And some of them are kind of an architectural gem.
Right.
In our last tour 2 years ago, they were all historic homes. They were all in what we call the Silk Stocking district of the Lincoln.
Where is the Silk Stocking?
Sue.
That's where we live, Judy. Peoria.
I got the wrong socks.
You've got anklets on again.
See, I just always have to swim upstream.
It was called the Silk Stocking District because during the Depression, people who lived in that area were able to afford silk stockings. So that's why it's called the Silk Stocking.
My mommy never bought me any silk stockings.
The people, talking about the Women's Club building itself, the people who built the house I live in, I bet you were members of the temple.
Yes. Levi
Wouldn't
Jacobs
they be?
family.
Yes. Sure. Well, he had Jacob's Clothiers uptown.
Right.
Sue and Bill and I would remember that. The rest of you are probably thinking, I have no idea.
For our time.
Before your time. How is it to be in that category before your time?
Well, I have it the other way around. You asked me where I lived, and in my neighborhood when I first moved out there,
Cornfield.
Some of it was, and then some of it, as people built houses, it was like this was so-and-so's house, and now those have all changed. So somebody will say something like, oh, that's over there at so-and-so's house, and they're like, who? And I'm like, oh, they were before you. So, so I'm getting that.
So you have one of the earlier homes out there?
Yes, we've had it for about 30 years now.
Yeah, there are a lot of homes out there that are newer than 30 years,
yes,
aren't there?
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
There's more subdivisions out there, too, yes. Definitely.
Yeah, that just grew. It was corn.
I'd like to digress to just a brief moment. We have 3 retired, very, very well-respected teachers, and I mean that very seriously. are you happy to be out of the education profession? And I asked that question in the context of, given all the problems we have in education today and all the rules and regulations, it's got to be a lot tougher to be a teacher than it was even 15 years ago. So what are your comments about that, ladies?
Well,
I don't want to blindside you. I blindsided you, and I apologize for that.
Do I miss it? Every single day. Because I miss seeing those faces. You can tell when the light bulb goes off. You know that. You know you've made that connection. I taught economics and government. I would have had the best time this year of my life.
Oh, my word, yes.
But I would have had to walk a very straight road, not voicing an opinion, even though they would have all known.
You're not issued opinions,
No,
huh? You have to take the party line, is that it?
No, you have to take a bipartisan. You cannot, just like Women's Club, we can't support a politician over another politician in the classroom. You don't do that either. You try and present all the information. I miss it every day. But retirement means I have a whole new life. I have a different way of educating myself, a different way of interacting. So, and I go to Women's Club for that, to meet the people and learn there. So yes,
that's your
I
outlet.
miss it.
Yeah. Well, I only asked that question, ladies, in view of all the regulations and the political correctness that goes on today, and it just must stifle a teacher and or an administrator in trying to do the job the way they feel it ought to be done. And each of you, you were at the high school level. Cindy, you were at the elementary, and Sue, you were in the elementary school. Yeah, right. Any thoughts, Cindy?
Well, I've only been out. This is my second year.
Remember, we're on the air.
I know. This is my second year of being retired, and
I miss your smiling face there when I used to go and pick up my great-granddaughter.
Yes. I can't say that I miss it every single day, like Ruth said. I miss the kids. I don't miss, like you said, the drum. I was in special education, and from the time I started 30-some years ago to now, it had just gotten a lot harder. I used to be able to write an IEP, which is the individual plan for the students, with no problem. In the last few years, I had to have a book in front of me because I had to make sure I got this put in and that put in. And I felt like I spent more time doing that than really working with the kids. And that's what I enjoyed doing, was working with the kids. So
Sue retired a little earlier.
Right. I've been retired for 16 years. And I miss the children. September comes around, and I want to be in the classroom decorating, getting ready for the year. But some of the other...
That wasn't your favorite, Ruth.
High school teachers don't do much of that.
Oh, well, probably they're not interested in waiting for Santa, are they?
One thing I am concerned about, I understand we are not teaching cursive writing anymore.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Because your computer has a font. And unfortunately, I heard a grandmother say, I cannot write a note or a letter to my grandson anymore because he told me he can't read it.
That's ridiculous, you see.
Isn't it?
That's a little thing. That's just a little thing. It's a byproduct of all of this.
That's true.
Spelling, reading, writing, arithmetic. Spelling was always such an emphasis. And I don't think it has the attention it needs anymore because of the computer. The computer, of course, having absolutely no idea which form of any particular word you want. So if you're going to write something that somebody's going to read, you're going to have some words in there, and they're going to wonder, you came THREW the door?
But writing is such an elementary skill, and composition is such an elementary skill, and these kids aren't learning composition per se. And Lord knows, I'm one of the worst at this as far as writing letters is concerned, but I can sure sit down to a computer and whack off a note or two.
That's it.
And it's kind of too bad because learning those elementary school skills, that seems to have gone out the window.
Well, if I have a pet peeve, we now stress reading, writing, science, and math. As a social studies teacher, I think we need to teach citizenship, being involved in your community, the importance of voting, and how the government works. And I do find that frustrating, coming from that background that we've lost that emphasis. And I think that kind of undermines the values of our country.
I'll bet you go out here at Lincoln High School, Ruth, and interview the first 50 kids that come out of there and ask who their senator is, and there won't be 10% of them be able to tell you.
Probably true, unless
And
they're
that's a sad
senior.
thing.
And geography's another thing. I was telling you about my daughter who called and complained about her TV service. And the lady said she was so sorry about that. And she said, "Where do you live?" And she was told that we live in Illinois. And the lady said, "That's it, it's the mountains." Well, I'm telling you, she flunked geography.
And she reads.
And she votes. What can I say?
That's right.
So we really have lost track of the things that we used to. I mean, I know the Middle East has had a war since they had enough people to participate, but we're still there having a war. How many of the kids know where the Middle East is? Pennsylvania?
Well, this morning we were supposed to be talking about home tours, and somehow we got off of home tours. We have had with us this morning 3 really industrious ladies, and that's just a part of the local women's club. Obviously, you've got some folks who work hard and thinking how they can improve their community and improve the women's club. But I didn't know that you did all those extra things. I was aware of the fact it was forced. I just thought it was a nice place for the girls, like in my Father's Day, go to the Oaks Club and play cards.
Yeah.
But they do, and we appreciate that. We want to talk about this. Let's put the final date on this, girls, which is this Sunday, and tell us again how we're going to do this. The tickets should have been purchased by now.
Yes, but you can still purchase them up through Saturday at MKS Jewelry or from a member. There are
Local business, by the way.
Local business, right. They have been excellent. They've been selling a lot of tickets for us up there. It's been very nice. It is on June. Ooh, gosh.
Wishful thinking.
I'm trying to get back to summer.
Don't rush time any worse than
All right, I'm
it is.
sorry. It's Sunday, December the 4th from 1 to 5. If you don't have a ticket now and don't get it before MKS closes on Saturday, you can go to the Women's Club building. There'll be somebody there at 11 o'clock to purchase a ticket at that particular time. But then make sure you go back to the Women's Club building sometime during the day and take advantage of the entertainment we're going to have there, buy some raffle tickets, buy some baked goods, and get some free coffee and hot chocolate, and just enjoy. Have a good day.
Bless you.
And I know it's supposed to rain, but let's all keep our fingers crossed.
Well, it'll rain whether you go or not. You might as well go.
That's right.
Because you're not going to be outside raking leaves, right?
No, that's true.
And these homes will probably never be open again to the public.
Right.
So this is your one shot to see these beautifully decorated homes.
Definitely.
Ladies, we appreciate your time your commitment to our community. These things don't happen unless somebody does a lot of planning. And so we appreciate your time to come up here this morning and visit with us. Even informed the old man about a couple of things he might know. He thinks he's smart enough to know about everything, but that's not the case. Seriously, we take our collective hats off to all the folks at the Women's Club who work so hard. When we talk about houses and Women's Club tours, as I alluded to earlier, sometimes they think it's just a new construction. But we have so many architectural gems in the community, so I'm going to close with a comment I read about old homes. It was very simple. Old homes have soul. Thank you, Ruth Sloot, Sue Beaver, and Cindy Ossiker for being with us today.
Thank you.